Usability. Real-life example: Memorial Day weekend of 2003. I decided to take a risk. I drove my car until the gas was just about gone. The engine was sputtering when I pulled off at a gas station near no others and went to fill up. I pulled up to the first pump and it had a credit cards do not work sign on it. I went in to pay cash and the cashier explained it was full service. There was no serviceman out there. I got rather angry seeing the long line of cars waiting to use the few pumps that worked. 72. I drove off to find another gas station. I then realized there were no other close gas stations. I went back. I almost got into a wreck on my way back to the gas station. Now I was enraged. I arrived at the gas station and waited in line again. The car in front of me would not back up to let the person who just finished pumping out. I had to wait until the van on the other side was done. I then had to wait for the guy who would not move to finish. Negative advertising. I was finally ready to pump my gas. I tried to use my credit card, but after about a minute of processing, a warning flashed up at me: please see cashier, system down. On the pump it stated pump then pay. So I tried to pump. It did not work. I went inside and asked the cashier what was up. While snacking on his food he said, "Crunch, sorry, I had not got around to turning your pump on yet." Mind you, it said pump then pay. I had been trying for a few minutes at this point. I went back outside and pumped my gas. I left vowing never again to visit that gas station. It was a mobile in Mystic, Connecticut, just off the interstate, and I still vividly remember the sign in my head as well as the cashier who was snacking while he should have authorized my pump. If that gas station was a website, what was the point of that tangent about a gas station? It took longer to tell the story than it will take to make my point. I was reading Designing Web Usability by Jacob Nielsen about the same time I had that bad day, and this nugget of truth came to me: there is no page that is so important that I cannot go elsewhere. If that gas station was a website, I would have left. Many people find your website through search engines. Other sites may link to your inner pages. There is no way to tell where traffic will come from. I never see the shopping cart on many sites because they make it a challenge just to get there. I have abandoned many shopping carts. Most websites have miserable usability. I must admit some of my sites need some work in this area too. It is one of the most neglected aspects of web design. Web example: this comes from a usability/design example story found on page 69 of Taking Your Talent to the Web by Jeffrey Zeldman. I left my baby daughter in the car while I went to buy dope. Then I drove away. I'd gone about 5 blocks when I realized my daughter wasn't in the car anymore. 73. That story clip was in the main content area of the Narcotics Anonymous website. At the end of it there was another linear link to more stories. The site also had a passive navigation menu. A large part of usability is quickly connecting with people and then making it easy for them to do whatever you want them to. In this example it would be to perhaps read more stories, to see there were other people like them, to find hope, and seek treatment. A person is more likely to listen if they feel they belong on your site, if they feel the page was written just for them. Good usability take with a grain of salt. Warning: bear in mind that my own website does not currently follow all of these examples, but most of them are worth following if you can. Allow users to control their experience. Do not place excessive text inside images. Keep a consistent site design. Have clear navigation. Use alternative text tags with images. Use standards where applicable. Keep file sizes small. Have search or a link to site level search on every page. On smaller sites, where site search may typically leave visitors empty-handed, a link to a sitemap will work better than a link to site level search. Some large brands, like Amazon.com, may not follow some important usability guidelines, but they have the scale, brand, and customer loyalty necessary to get away with making changes that offered poorer usability than some of their previous designs. Allow the user to control their experience while creating text elements. It is important to remember various people and the means they will use to view your site. Some people are looking at the web through a phone, some can hardly see, some have text read to them. When specifying the text size or palette size, it is best to use relative, not exact, values. If you set the text at 8 pixels and a guy has large text turned on, he will see your site at 8 pixels, which can be hard to see on larger monitors, especially to a blind guy. He will not see your site. Setting the page width to 800 pixels might make a PDA user immediately switch to another site. Setting width using percentages or keeping the page narrow makes the content accessible on more devices. However, there is an exception to the rule. If the bulk of your income comes from ads, or controlling the exact layout is. Some of the best opportunities to improve your bottom line are done by improving conversion rates, which can be done by making your site easier to use. 74. Crucial to earnings, then you may want to use a fixed width design to better control the ad integration into the site. When you design for different types of users, you not only avoid offending these people, but you also are given extra consideration since you are one of the few who address their needs. Placing text in an image is typically a bad idea since it may appear illegible, or overly large, when the user sees the page on a platform different than the one on which it was designed. Think of search engines as visitors with exceptionally poor vision. They cannot read the text in images. Consistent site design people expect to see things in certain places. The upper left corner usually has a logo and a link to your home page. Oftentimes the logo is the link. Search is either right beneath it or in the upper right-hand corner. Remember, people like to feel comfortable. The most successful ideas are usually just repackaged successful ideas from the past. Clear navigation also makes it easier for the user to develop comfort and go where you want him to go. Even if you try something risky, at least be consistent with it from page to page. Site-level search. There are hordes of people who love to search for information. It is well worth it to include a small search box on every page if you have a larger content website. If you do not know anything about dynamic coding, you can get a third-party search engine from Atoms, FreeFind, or Google. Many popular content management and blog software providers also have free built-in site-level search. On small sites you should not have a site-level search, as many of the searches will fail to find the desired information and frustrate the searcher. It is far easier to actively guide site visitors than to let them enter random text in a search box. On top of helping visitors navigate your site, a site-level search can also help you find out what terms and ideas your visitors are interested in that your site may not yet have content about. You can create content around their needs and use these terms for refining your pay-per-click keywords. With large sites, especially large forums, it may be helpful to highlight the search terms on the page if site visitors arrived from a search engine. Use standards where applicable. People know blue underline means hyperlink. Whenever possible, it is a good idea to follow standards. Sometimes deviations may be necessary for site design. Many sites fail because they do not create substantial value and appeal prior to trying to extract profits. Many non-commercial sites make greater profits than commercial sites because it is far easier and cheaper to build links into non-commercial sites. 75. But use them sparingly. It makes it easier for people to do what you want them to without needing to think. Some webmasters may be more likely to link to a standards-compliant site. If your site is focused toward a geek or techie market, you will likely want to make sure it validates and is standards compliant. Most sites do neither. If your target audience does not care much about standards, and the time and money it would cost you to make it accessible are too much, then it may not be important to address design and accessibility anytime soon. JavaScript and active client-side, browser-based, scripting. Approximately 3 to 5% of web browsers are not JavaScript enabled for one reason or another. I recommend minimizing the number of pages using JavaScript whenever possible. In addition, you should place your JavaScript in its own external.js file and link to it from within your pages. This can decrease page load time and improve usability. You can link to the external.js file by placing the following code in your page head. Script language equals JavaScript src equals filename.js/script. If your entire page is in JavaScript, some people will not see it. In addition, many search engines will not index it properly. Make sure to use NaScript tags to define what was in the JavaScript to users with that feature disabled. NaScript tags look like this and should be placed just after a script's location. NaScript JavaScript description and related links /NaScript hacks. There are ways to use CSS and other technologies to do many of the things JavaScript does. Additionally, there are some technologies that give more advanced presentations while still using fairly lean code that search spiders can follow. For example, you can use unordered lists to make HTML menus. Keep file size small. The back button is one of the most used buttons on web browsers. If your file takes a long time to load, you may be kissing your user goodbye before she even gets to see your full hello. Specify image details to allow quick loading. It is a good idea to specify image sizes on the page so the text can load before the image is rendered. imgsrc equals /images/blah.gif alt equals blah picture. Title equals picture of blah. Height equals 300. Width equals 200. 76. If an image is simply part of the design or navigation, you can just use a blank alt tag as the image does not contribute to the page theme. Also, stuffing 100 words in the alt tag does not likely add much to your SEO efforts and could make your pages seem spammy. If you are unsure whether a page is using text or images, you can view the page source or hit Ctrl+A to highlight the text and images. On linked images, many search algorithms treat the image alt text similarly to how they treat link anchor text, which is described in more detail in the linking section of this ebook. Most SEOs recommend using the alt tag, but do not mention the title tag. Search algorithms try to use whatever they find useful. Thus, if most people are not stuffing the image titles full of junk because they don't know about this feature, some search engines may eventually want to look there for good, non-spammy text. I have yet to use it, but some people use dynamic text replacement to replace images with their associated text when site visitors have images turned off. Learn how to do this here. http://www.alistapart.com/articles/dynatext. As long as it is not overtly manipulative, search engines should not penalize you for using dynamic text replacement. Using CSS to minimize page load time using an external style sheet will keep many of your design elements on a single common page. This prevents pages from looking jagged due to slightly different layout specifications between one page and the next. In addition, keeping layout code separate from content will decrease page load time. When users navigate from one page to another, they will not need to reload the design elements of the page again since the style sheet will already be in their cache. Most typical web users expect pages to download within 8 to 10 seconds at the max. The longer a person waits for a page to download, the more likely they are to have their stream of thought interrupted. Flash is evil. There are many reasons why huge Flash files are evil. Those who view a Flash intro are usually not interested in seeing it every time they come to your site. Flash development is an expense that is rarely justified and is rarely focused on the needs of the site visitor. Some Flash developers also protect their Flash files to prevent others from editing them, which means that you may need to hire them to make changes or design a new site if the Flash file has errors. Search engines struggle to index, navigate, and classify Flash. Flash typically offers little descriptive content, so even if engines could index it, most won't care to. 77. Flash files take a while to load. Meanwhile, the user may be hitting the back button, kiss, goodbye. Even if search engines can determine the content of Flash programs, most Flash designers place all the Flash in one program, which makes it hard for search engines to want to refer people to it. Some people use meta refreshes and other arbitrary Flash detection technologies that disable the browser back button. Google AdWords will not allow you to advertise sites that have the browser back button disabled. A Flash designer once disabled the back button on one of my clients' websites. He wanted to charge her $4,000 to fix a problem caused by his own incompetent behavior. It took me 10 minutes to fix it, and he no longer does design work for her. If you do use Flash, try to keep your files small, embed the Flash files in HTML pages, and use noemd what the Flash represents /noemd to write what the content in the Flash represents. Flash also has an SDK, which can aid in search engine indexing, but it is usually recommended to avoid Flash. SWF Object, http://blog.deconcept.com/swf object /right parenthesis is probably the best way to do XHTML valid Flash detection. I am not a usability expert by any means. If you are interested in the topic, I recommend Jacob Nielsen's site or his books, or you can buy Kim Krause's inexpensive yet highly useful, and downloadable, usability checklist found at http://www.usabilityeffect.com/ringbell.html.